I'm joined once again by Andrew Todhunter, who's going to be taking on Tim Caron at Dana White's Contender Series on June 26th. Andrew, how are you, man?
I'm great, sir. I'm great. Life is good.
I bet, man. You got this huge opportunity here, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, where am I getting you today? I see you're in the car right now.
I just got done leaving the chiropractor. I'm in between training sessions. I'm on my way to go run 4 miles, and then I'm going to head to chirotherapy, and then hit some MMA practice.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you squeezing me in today. And let's talk about you. It's been a while since we've seen you in the cage. Of course, you haven't fought since April of 2016. And I know the last time you and I actually did an interview was, I think, August of 2016. So I think the $1,000,000 question, where you been? What's been the reason for the layoff?
Man, life's been great. I fought Evan Thompson as my last professional MMA fight, and I submitted him in the first round, and that was Wonder Boy Thompson's brother. They both ISK world champion karate guys, and I was really excited. And then I broke my thumb and broke my ribs coming into that fight, and I started a full-time career, and my career was really taking off. And I was just kind of done at the time. I seen more frustrated. I was just frustrated at the time, and so I stepped away from the sport to get my head right, because I don't think if your mind's not 100% in this game, then you can't compete at a high level. And I didn't want to come in there and be a 500 fighter. I wanted to be one of the guys that comes in there and bats 1,000 and is able to give 100% of the time. So I needed the break, but I fought a heavyweight boxing match shortly after that, and I won that, and then I was officially done. And then I was actually on vacation, and they hit me up and they're like, "Hey, you want to fight?" I was actually training with a Muay Thai guy in a different country, and I was like, "You know what? That sounds good. What's the details?" And then they hit me up and they're like, "Well, here's the date, June 26th. Would you be available?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can do the fight June 26th." And he was like, "Do you want to know who it's against?" And I was like, "It doesn't really matter. I'll be in shape." And I think styles make matchups. I think I'm going against a great guy. As far as I like him as a person. So that's different, because there's only been one other guy I liked as a person, or two, and Evan Thompson's one of them. I think that guy's a great guy, and I think his brother Wonder Boy is a great guy. They just got great personalities, and one of the guys I fought when I was an amateur. So that adds a different dynamic. But he's very intelligent, rangy, fights a lot, karate style like Evan Thompson. So I think stylistically, it'll be an interesting fight, and I think we're both good guys. So I think it's a win-win for both of us, and I think Dana White would be excited. I looked at the card, and no offense to anybody else that I seen on the card, I've seen that they put us on the bottom of the card, and I'm extremely thankful, and that makes it even better, because then, well, when Dana and Vic sees what happens when the door cages, I think that he's like, wow. So, and the whole world's gonna be like, they're gonna know, well, these guys, they're older, and they put it all out there. And I have nothing but respect for everybody in the organization and him for taking this fight. I'm just really excited, man.
And there's a lot to unpack there in what you said. You mentioned that you had a career sort of outside of fighting that was, sort of luring you away from the cage. What were you doing for work, over the last little bit that was, really keeping you busy?
Man, I have a great career. I still work for the company. I work for Magellan. I have great coworkers, and it's a great company, and I'm fortunate. I make more than I can make in fighting at a professional level, and I'm just very blessed with these opportunities, and I'm to a point in my career now where I've learned enough of the job where I can really, my 100% of my focus isn't at being at work, because I'm one of those guys that I strive to be the best I can be at whatever I'm doing. So I can't have too many distractions, and I'm a slow learner, so it takes me a little bit to get in the groove of things. But now I got it, and I understand the job and what goes on in there, and I'm able to get back into this, and I really look forward to it, man. So I'm just extremely thankful. Like, my life's completely changed since last time we talked, last time we talked, I ended up tearing my PCL, and oh, that was terrible. But
No, yeah, you went through a lot. I mean, and the other thing that I don't know if people are watching this interview and might remember you were supposed to fight at UFC 188 back in June of 2015, and of course you had that weight cut, that hard weight cut, getting down to welterweight against Albert Tumanov. And I got to know, talking here today with me, did you ever feel like an opportunity like this was going to come up again, just with the fact that you went through that, and it seemed like the UFC was not blackballing you, but in a way just not, they sort of frowned upon that whole situation, even though you tried to make the weight and get down to 170.
yeah, you know what? There's a. I feel like people had a misunderstanding. I never missed the weight. I've never missed weight in my life. I missed weight one time when I wrestled when I was like 8. And in wrestling, if you miss weight, you don't wrestle. So all the work you did is completely wasted, and you wasted everybody's time. And after I was punished for that, and realized how much hard work I wasted, I never physically missed weight. I had a perfect career, and I actually went into a coma at UFC 188. And I woke up, and the doctor called off the fight. I weighed 178 pounds. I had 2 days left to cut. I cut from 212 to 178 in 5 days. And I hear like a lot of guys talking, but nobody's making weight cuts like that. And I can honestly say I gave it 100%, and my body just decided that it wasn't going to happen. But it wasn't for lack of trying on my part. My sugar actually got too low on a scientific level because of the kind of diet I was on for that, and I think that training at elevation was the real factor there that led to that. But I think it was bad for Albert Tumanov, and I felt bad for him. Only getting his show money, but at the end of the day, he's only going to get his show money anyways. So that's how I feel about it. I thought that was a great matchup for me, better than the matchup I have now. I feel like Tim's a great opponent. I feel like he's very strategic. He fights very smart. He doesn't fight with emotions that Albert fought with, and I just think it's a way more interesting matchup when I break it all down.
I agree, and what I really like about this fight is that you guys both have really good records. I mean, you're 8-0, he's 9-1. The one loss he did have in Bellator is against a guy who I think is still undefeated right now. So obviously, it's a really high level matchup here. With that said, now you talked a little bit about Tim as an opponent. When you sort of look at tape or you sort of break him down, how do you feel like you match up against him in this fight?
I feel like he's a great karate style, a little bit of Lyoto Machida. Wonder Boy Thompson style. I mean, it's his style. I mean, he's been doing karate since he was 4. But I feel like his jiu-jitsu is strong. I feel like going into this fight, anyone that knows that's fought me, my hands are heavy. My boxing's better, and I'm not being rude. I'm just being honest. His kickboxing. If I was going to stand there in a kickboxing match with him, obviously he would have the upper hand. But if we played a boxing game, I would have the upper hand. If we wrestle, I have the upper hand. Jiu-jitsu, I feel like, is pretty neutral. So that's what I think makes this an awesome fight, because he has an underrated ground game. I don't feel like people are giving him credit for. But I've seen some of the stuff he does and his takedown defense and everything, and I think it's pretty legit. And usually when you get two grapplers or guys that are decent at grappling, it turns up to a stand-up fight. And so that's what I think makes this an exciting fight. Is that dynamic of it. I mean, I'm not a sports analyst, but when I break guys down, I'm usually not wrong when I'm watching fights and calling fights. So that's how I feel about it. What do you think?
Well, I'd say so, because you got the 8-0 record. Obviously, what you're doing has been working, and I'm not going to argue that by any means. I agree with you as far as the assessment of the matchup. Now, as far as training camp, have you kept things sort of the same as far as training partners and where you're training right now?
I've been training a lot with some of my old training partners back home here in Tulsa. They're all great guys. I mean, Gerald Harris has got a fight coming up in Bellator. He just fought that
Lovato Jr. On short notice, he stepped up to the plate. That was a great, good for him for stepping up and making the weight and doing all that.
Yeah, that was great. Lovato's hey, they've called me to fight Lovato on short notice a few times. If Lovato really wants to fight with a training camp, I I'm kind of tired of watching these last minute replacement fights for him. But they just tell him when they give him his next contract, give me a call, 12 weeks, I'll start training. And I would love to fight that fight with the training camp. Gerald would love to fight that fight with the training camp again, and he is a stud. I mean, he just looks spectacular every time we've seen him from when he was on my undercards. I mean, I feel like he's really grown as a martial artist and not just a jiu-jitsu guy, and I think that's what makes him so relevant now.
Yeah, and he's got a great personality too. That doesn't
Yeah.
hurt at all. He's always outspoken on social media, which I really like. He's a great guy. As far as the weight cut, looking at you right now, it seems like everything's going well. Getting down to middleweight, I know you've really sort of honed in on weight cutting and all that.
Yeah, I'm actually at pretty much at weight.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna have a weight cut, so that's first time in 6 years. I usually cut from 210, 215, and my nutrition's a lot more balanced. I'm older, and I watch what I eat. I guess when you're younger, you just kind of eat, and I wrestled, and I I pulled weight the wrestling way, and now it's smarter, more based off my workouts and my caloric intake, and it's just way more educated. So I think that's definitely a bonus thing for me. I feel a lot better. I never came into a fight where I was like, man, I feel good going into this. I usually feel good after the weigh-in, so I'm excited about that. I think the fight's over in the first round. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Uh, Tim's game plan will be draw me into deep waters, beat up my lead leg. My game plan is I'm coming to finish like I finished every professional opponent, and I don't get paid by the round, so I'm gonna try to finish this in the first round, and I'm pretty sure with the way that the series is set up, I'm pretty sure that he's thinking kind of the same thing. So that's what I think it makes it fireworks. I really am excited. I don't think I think he's a great opponent, and I think he's a great person, it just makes it more exciting.
And is this kind of like a redemption fight in a way? I mean, I know you've had a couple fights since the whole fiasco at 188, but Dana White, you'll see him again, and I know you had that fight for the UFC. I mean, I'm sure if you get an impressive win here, you'll get that UFC contract. Has that sort of crossed your mind at all? Just coming full circle from 188.
Man, to be honest with you, no, I don't really dwell on any of my past experiences in life. I learn from them, and I move forward, and whatever happens. I'm just super thankful and excited for this opportunity, and I'm thankful to Dana, I'm thankful to Mick, I'm thankful to Tim. I've My perception has really changed as I've gotten older. I think it's part of getting older and more mature. You realize that, you know, not everything is, the world's not fair. And once you accept that, and you learn that you've been on the good end of it and the bad end of it and the in between it, and you become really thankful when good things happen to you. And I'm just excited that this opportunity ever came up for me, and I'm excited to touch the octagon for the first time. That's always been on my bucket list. And come June 26th at 7 p.m., when I touch that octagon, you're going to see the happiest guy. That's checking that off my bucket list, and that's been on there for the last 11 years. So that's pretty. Probably be my most out of all the things I did in my life, the most exciting thing for me, to be honest with you. So.
I can't wait for this matchup. It's coming up here June 26th. It's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. It's Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Andrew, it was great getting a chance to catch up with you, man. Just remind people where they can find you on social media. And if you got any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. You can hit me up on Instagram, Andrew Todhunter, Facebook, Andrew Todhunter. I have a fan page now because my friends on Facebook, I think I'm at the limit. So if you get a chance, head over to my fan page and like it. I'd appreciate the support. I want to thank some old sponsors going this fight. I really can't take any sponsors with a new the kind of structure that they have in the UFC. It's pretty much a Reebok deal or whatever clothing deal or monster, so you can't do banners or anything anymore. But I do. Whitetails Properties sponsor me. You know, Dan Perez is a great dude. Tony Serrar, great guys. Mid America Pipeline, Excel Construction, Engine Room Boxing. You know, Aaron Sloan's been a big part of my career. Christian Durr at Clinch Martial Arts, The Factory. I call them the Bomb Squad. Those guys, they have a pro practice Tuesday and Thursday, and they're all hitters there. Clay Mars runs that program. That's where Gerald trains at, Daniel Roberts. And there's just a bunch of tough guys. Fitness Together, they've been putting me through these new workouts. It's like simulates 5-minute rounds, different workouts, super intense. It's kind of like Fight Gone Bad. I think it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I want to thank T-Town Fitness or T-Town CrossFit. I actually started my CrossFit journey, and I really like that atmosphere there. It's really great work. And man, I want to thank Ready Every Second. They gave me a few bonuses coming up on Access TV for Finish Awards, and I really always liked their apparel, and they treat me right. Same thing for Ranger Up Apparel. They treat me right my entire life. And Peppy Johnson for holding mitts for me all the time. Marlon Faulkner for speed and agility. And you. I mean, you've been there through the ups and the downs, so I appreciate you, sir. You know, a lot of fighters don't realize it, but you guys are, I feel like, the most important part of the sport, because without you guys, nobody really knows what goes on or how to break down a fight, or there's a lot of important things that come from interviews, and I think people just take it for granted and feel entitled to it based on their position, and I'm not one of those guys. I'm extremely thankful for your time, and most importantly, so.
What's up, fight fans? If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to see even more interviews with your favorite UFC and Bellator fighters. We've also got coverage at events, including post-fight press conferences and media scrums. And if you like this video, check out the video to my right. It's worth your time.